Okay, good afternoon to all and welcome to the Liberian View. On our topic of our discussion today, we're going to be talking about the Monrovia Capitol building fire disaster, contributing factors and consequences. This is the series number one. I think we will do another big series. I think because this is so important. Now we know that today is Sunday, December 22nd. uh, I think 2 more days or 3 more days to Christmas, and we are in the year 2024. We have a special guest on our panel today. We have the ambassador for the Young Adult Peace Chapter, president in the president of Vani VG Sharif. His picture is there. If you look at the flyer, you'll see his picture. Well, as you know, sometimes when you start showing your pic yourself, and then sometimes you have some technical difficulties. So we're going to make sure that he remains as it is. We also have Mrs. Anita Q. Kane, and she's been on the show. She's a part of it, but she's just returning again. We're supposed to be having Reverend Dr. Edwin Lloyd, and now we have our own member, Mr. Felix Wilson. The panel will be discussing, especially when it comes to the burning of the Capitol building, which is that building is a historical and symbolic. It's very historical and it's symbolic. It is so significant, the Capitol building, and then they will also provide their own perspective on the because if you can in the broad daylight or in the center of the city, not in Kakata, not in different counties, but in Monrovia itself, where we have our Capitol building that was burned down. We're going to talk about whether the trust, the public trust, the accountability, especially when it comes to the government. How has this fire influenced public perception on the government accountability? What steps can be taken to restore trust? Because right now, to me, there's no trust, and people are like, "What is going on?" What steps can be taken towards restoring trust and reassuring the citizen about the infrastructure safety, in fact, human safety also, the long-term impact on governance, and then how has this fire affected the functionality of the Liberia's legislative processes? What are they doing? Where are they? What alternative arrangement has been made for the lawmakers and staff in the interim while this process, the burning of this building? It is a shame, and the Liberian View joined all other parties to condemn this act. No war, nothing going on in the country. People are hungry. As I think Mr. Talbot, I was looking at his monologue, I think his podcast, and he was talking about this whole thing. It's pathetic that this happened. So the Liberian View joined all the others to really condemn this act, and we hope that the government can really dive into it and see how best this can be. Those who actually, whether who you are that did this, that you can be investigated and held accountable. This is sad, and so I will give the opportunity. Having said that, we know that Mr. Sharif in Liberia, I think it's even after going to 9 and want to take this time to say thank you so much, Mr. Sharif, for really joining. We appreciate you. I think we've done a lot with the young ambassadors for peace chapter for Liberia, because they have various chapters all over the world. And when we did the civic education during the electoral process in Liberia, the Liberian View worked with Mr. Sharif and his team to carry out some civic education for the Liberian people, and we did a very great job. And so today we are teaming to really discuss this particular topic, and Mr. Sharif did agree and he's on. So we'll give you the opportunity, Mr. Sharif, to tell the people in 2 minutes, less than that, who you are, and then we'll turn it over to Mrs. Kane, and then Felix, as you know, is a member, and I, Lucy T. Wilson, here, your host. So, Mr. Sharif, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Miss Lucy Kia. Good afternoon to the panelists there in the United States, and good evening to those outside. I'm honored to be here tonight with the Liberian View and all the distinguished panelists. As the name you can see is Vanivi Sharif, and I'm the national chairman for the Young Ambassadors for Peace, a youth-led institution, over 5,000 population membership. We are involved into promoting democracy, peace and conflict prevention, and leadership training. The chapter was established here by the Universal Peace Federation, Liberian chapter, in 2008. Like I said, we've been focused on molding the minds of young people, especially immediately after the war. The mindset of the young people, I mean, of the elders and other people about the youth in every sector at the time where they are only used for violence activities and used as surrogate by politicians. So Young Ambassador for Peace from that background were established to mold the minds of the young people because of materials that will bring change and sustainable peace in our communities and the country at large. And so as a chairperson, I would like in this platform to recognize the effort of our partner organization, the Liberian View, that contributed before the election, train our long and short term observers and are able to provide sponsorship after providing civic education for our observers. We were able to successfully observe the elections within 13 counties, including Maserado. We remain a very good partners, and I appreciate for the platform so far. Look forward to having an intriguing and a very good conversation this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sherry. Before we move over to Mrs. Kane, I just want to let you know that you can, if you're watching, if you have not yet, you are contemplating on being a part of this discussion, you can join us on www.facebook.com/the Liberian View or www.youtube.com/art the Liberian View. Please join us and post your questions. We'll be here to answer. So we'll move quickly to Mrs. Kane. The floor is yours, briefly, with less than 2 minutes, to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Anita Quikanen. I am one of the panelists. I've been lost for a while. I've been busy with work and some activities going on, but I am a Liberian living here in Virginia. I work as a project manager for the Fed. It's nice to be here and to discuss some of the complex things that are happening in Liberia. I'm happy for the invite. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Kane. We'll just turn it over quickly. I think, oh yeah, we have Reverend Lloyd, Reverend Dr. Edwin Lloyd on the platform now. We'll turn it quickly to Mr. Felix, and then you hear from, these are all members of the Liberian View, but just for the others that are on the platform that don't know them, it's important that at least to say something. So, Mr. Felix, the floor is yours.
Thank
Felix
you, Madam
Wilson.
Chair. Good evening, everyone. To those out there watching and to my fellow panelists, it's a pleasure to be on with you this evening. I'm a longstanding member of the Liberian View. I'm excited about this topic and just glad to be here. I like to be known as that Peking with a mad love for Liberia. So if you don't remember my name, remember that little phrase. Thank you.
Reverend Lloyd. Reverend Dr. Edwin Lloyd.
Good evening, everyone. I'm elated to be on this platform today to discuss this very important topic. I'm Reverend Dr. J. Edwin Lord Jr., a pastor in the Beltsville, Maryland area, USA. And I also provide mental health services with the federal government, and my population base is military. I'm a military veteran also, and I serve in various committees and boards within the capital area region related to refugee and immigration issues. And also I serve as the director for ministry for the capital area region of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, which covers Virginia, Maryland, and West Virginia. So I'm happy to be here. and to be able to be a part of this conversation.
Okay, thank you so, so much. So, what we're going to do quickly actually is to dive into the topic and, to really sit and discuss because I know people will be watching or are watching currently, and to make sure that we discuss the Monrovia Capitol building fire disaster, what contribute the contributing factors to that, and the consequences. Having said that, we'll turn it quickly to Mr. Sharif, who is in Liberia. Want to give him out the opportunity to state his perspective, and for especially for such a symbolic building, uh, documents and everything being burned down. I don't know what this is all about, but Mr. Sharif, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you so much again for affording me the platform. Well, the issue of the fire incident that occurred at the National Legislature is a very unfortunate situation that it is something that you wouldn't want to talk about. But as citizens and patriots of this country, we will have to talk about this and possibly propose a possible solution in avoiding its reoccurrence in the future. But as symbolic and historic that building is, to have seen that being set ablaze by unknown people for whatsoever reason, I think that is not just unpatriotic, it is very damaging for the image of our country, especially in the eyes of international community. When we had a press statement, and that was shared on our platform, some of my friends, international friends outside Liberia, had a very frustrating comments, and that shows how devastating, though it is not their country, how they are. What kind of image do we want to send out there about our country? These are government properties that need to be protected in every form and manner. That building, I've been privileged to move a little bit around West Africa, a big part of East Africa and Northern Africa, Asia, and a bit of Europe. I mean, I've seen parliament, but this of our parliament here, the National Legislature building, it is not just historic, but it's one of its kind. So much beautiful so that you seize it, you feel very much comfortable. If you ain't got anything to be proud of as a Liberian, when that building has been shown, you can be very proud of to say, yes, this is our national legislature, the Capitol building. And to see that being set on fire, ablaze, I mean, that is just so unfortunate and debilitating that we just don't know where do we go from here. Personally, to me, it's scaring, and this cause it's very much alarming when it comes to the security of our state. First of all, you don't have a camera. A camera should be around where you will have to identify, presumably, people who enter the premises of the Capitol building, enter there, and possibly try to set it ablaze. The camera should track them throughout that premises, starting from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, University of Liberia campus there, coming all the way to the Executive Mansion ground, the Supreme Court, and the Capitol building. All this area need to be having a CC camera. Sadly, I don't know why these things are not prioritized. Because you need to know who goes in and come out. Or what about our national security? What about the security, the joint securities? How these things are happening? Where do we go? What is the safety of the citizens? What is their own safety, our national legislature? These are questions that we were asked, we want to get the answer. So it's very much sad as a citizen and a young person committed to promoting democracy, peace, and sustainable peace in this country. It's just so scary that we don't know where do we go from here. And we look forward. It is our ardent hope of Liberia through the Justice Ministry can institute, like we said the last time, they can institute a speedy investigation that would try to find out what is the cause of this fire accident that burned down this. No matter how you try to build now, what is being burned and how that place was designed, I doubt if we can get that same kind of a way it was. So I am scared. I'm at this point in time in our country where there is no war. Maybe one could say because of civil war, people went there. You're not hearing no gun sound, nothing of the kind. You just see this kind of structure burn down to that way that the joint chamber was burned to ashes. Who do you ask? So we looking forward. We are hoping that the government will do their speedy investigation and talk to the citizens. Our international partners are observing. They are looking. What will happen? What are all the mechanisms put in place to avoid future reoccurrence? What is happening? As we speak, do we even have securities on the ground there? Because that's a question you want to ask. Do we have it? I see no reason, no matter what be the situation. If this was done by individuals, no justifiable reason for this. This is not only unpatriotic, but it is barbaric. And if you want to time it, you can say this is nothing but a hooliganism. We don't want a repetition of this kind of thing in the country. We have fought so hard, some of us. We're not into politics, but the fact that we are fighting, the international community, international partners, they see what we do as young people passionately, dedicating our time to making sure that we have a very peaceful country. So this kind of thing happening is scary to us. We, the young people that are passing with so much enthusiasm in us to see how this country will offer us opportunities that we wouldn't be living our country going into other country in seek of greener pasture. This is our country. Even if we are happy to get opportunity to go out there, we'll ourselves, empower ourselves, and come back, contribute to the development and transformation of this country. But with the kind of things happening, it becomes so scary. Where are we going? What is happening to Liberia? What is happening to the national legislature? How can we be proud of this government? How can we be proud of that branch of government? So we are scared, and we hope that we can have a consolidated conversation as we have people listening out there to us. Where do we go from here? Thank you.
Thank you so much, and Mr. Sheriff. Thank you for your contribution. We'll be looking out for some questions for you. But in the comment area, someone just stated that, reiterated what you said, that there's no war. I mean, there is no war, zero war in the country. I know there's war with hunger, with drugs, and other stuff going on in our country. But there's 6 years, there was peace. It I can't. It's just unthinkable. You can fathom the idea of you getting up and someone is telling your Capitol building is burning down in the city. Your Capitol building is burning down in the city after all the wars in Liberia, but your Capitol building is now burning down. Where is the security? Where is the government? Those are some of the questions that Liberians are thinking about. Where is our security? Because when the oath was taken was that you will protect and secure lives and properties of the country. what is happening? What I mean, what are we need some answers. So I'll turn it over to Mrs. Anita Kwikane to just dive in the discussion. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think Mr. Sherry have said it all. The problem that Roha is complex. We all saw during the election where we were not at war, but we saw children killing each other because of political parties. And we also see a country where even though we are not at war, but because I don't support your party, you can throw petroleum bomb in my car to kill me. We see a country where people are going against each other based on political parties or based on party affiliation and whatsoever. But I think the issue with the Capitol building is very unfortunate. I think whoever did that, they did it because they want to paint somebody else black. And I can tell you for free, Mr. Sherry, even though you're waiting for investigation, I don't want to give you bad news, but nothing going to come from in that because it's all propaganda that going on. Investigation did not happen. We already saw people coming up with estimation for renovation, and we also seen chairs that were in our John Chimon are supposed to be brand, quote unquote. If that was something, we see that chair appearing in another area where the majority black meeting now. So there are a lot of rumors that are going on. There's no clarity. And if we want to get results from our incident, we want to get clarity and get closure and bring to book whoever was involved. I think we need to bring some investigator from outside to do some forensic investigations to be able to bring to book whoever was involved. But at this point, if we leave away partisan police or partisan security officials, we know the answer. We know nothing going to come from that. But that is sad. I mean, for some of us that were in Liberia during the last civil war that Charles Taylor and the Lair Rebel and whoever fought, we saw how people were burning school buildings and burning hospitals and they're destroying things. And I think that trauma still in the country. The country need to heal. Before our next election, if I were in leadership in Liberia right now, we will start doing some I don't want to say mentorship problem, but we need to come together. We need to unite. The country is really divided on party lines, and if we can't come together to see the big picture, people need to see beyond their party lines. People need to see the country for what it is and work together to build the country instead of seeing a political leader that you worship just for chicken change because he gave you $5 trash guy and gave you $2 to eat the crumbs from his table. You take him on and you take the country. I think Liberians need to come to a place where they add some value to their nation and take that if you give government official a job, he is not supreme. We need to bring them to book. But with the rampant corruption in the country, there's no law and order. People just do things and go free with it. And people start breaking the law from the executive marshal all the way to the top. And you see leadership, even you running that in charge of a youth group, wherever you do, the triple effect gonna come down to your team. If you don't respect your laws, if you don't respect your rules, if you're telling your team, let meet at 10 o'clock, you joining the call 10:15. The next time you schedule meeting, somebody will join 10:20. So from the top bottom in Liberia, there's no direction right now. So at this point, that somebody was saying we don't have to pray about everything because God has given us the power to face some of our problems. But we just don't want to face it. Everything we say, prayer. That's not everything we wait for God to do for us. Some that common sense that we need to imply, but we are not doing that. But the place the country is right now is at the crossroad. And if we want to see some good thing happening in Liberia, we need to change our mindset. We need to change the way we vote. We need to change the way we do things. We need to change a lot of things about us individually before we take it to society. So holistically, the country is not in a better place. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. It's I mean, you just nailed it. I can tell you. Because people, even not only in Liberia, sad. It's so sad. It's not in the diaspora. People do things based on a partisan. People do things based on the kind the your way of thinking. Once you have this, we think the same way. We're in the same club, and anyone there that is a variance, you're out. That's why they call you variance. So you're out. So this is the mindset not only for Liberians in Liberia, but Liberians in mostly, especially I can speak for the United States because that's where I live. That's the mindset. This party scene, this are in this group here, and you're not part of that group, and those kind of thing. That mindset, if we don't change we have nothing to leave for our children. That's a symbolic historic building. It has been destroyed, but we're not going to look at those who did the act. The fact is the government is responsible for safety and security. The fact is the government was sworn in to protect property and safeguard the property and the people of Liberia. So where was the government when this happened? Because if you talk about the police, the chief of staff is the president. The whole country is he's the chief of staff. So where was he, and what can we do better for this? I mean, where other countries are developing, and when it comes to education, healthcare, education, healthcare, agriculture, we are burning our building. We have done a lot to ourselves in Liberia, even outside Liberia, and that at least we've been trying to rebrand ourselves, and now this. So when I look at America, I love America. I don't know about other European countries, but when there is something not going well, something not working, what happens usually is that they bring our consultant to come and review the system. Can we be the judge and be the plaintiff, or do we need to really look at our entire system holistically and see what are the gaps, to really have a SWOT analysis about Liberia? What is our direction? Because if someone can go and put and light up the Capitol building, that's just insane. I mean, you can see the thing like somebody just maybe put like some gas or something in it and just burn the building. That means it's a lawless country. That means you can just do anything. If someone can burn a building in Monrovia, the Capitol building, then someone can do anything. So having said that, I'm going to pass it to Mr. Felix Wilson to provide his perspective. We'll go to Mr. Sharif again, and then we will talk about what do we think. What will be some of the solutions? What can we do as a people to make this better? Um, we will want. What are we going to leave, and what do we want for people to take away from this discussion? I know that the function of the legislative processes it has been impacted. We don't know whether there's something. I'm glad that some people maybe, I don't know how the chairs were hitting. How some chairs will be burned in certain rooms, and then later on it will be brought back. I don't know whether we need to even have an election or something, because if a building got burned, but some properties and some chairs were not impacted and were in the building, then there's something wrong somewhere. So we'll turn it over to Mr. Felix Wilson to share his perspective and maybe provide some additional facts when it comes to the importance of historic and symbolic buildings in Liberia. Uh, Case in under discussion, the Capitol building.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks to the prior two panelists for sharing their insight on this topic. I want to approach this from 3 points of view. First, I will talk about my initial reaction when I saw the building on fire on Wednesday morning. Second, I will talk about two possible hypotheses. One, that this could possibly be um, a act of deficiency, and another, it could possibly be uh, an act of terror, I would call it. But first, my initial reaction. Typically not want to go to my phone first thing in the morning, but at 5 a.m. U.S. time, Eastern Standard Time, I look at my phone and I saw um, the burning, a picture of the Capitol, and talk about shocked. And I was lost for words. I could not believe what I was seeing. And like most anyone else, having uh, followed some of the impasse, the ongoing impasse with the legislators, I was quickly to equate the two and just was angry, disappointed, and had a mix of emotions, but mostly negative about my beloved Liberia. And for one who has been so excited about the investments I'm making there and looking to the future, this was so disheartening um, that it caused me to really rethink my approach and wonder if I really want to continue to invest in my beloved country. I still hold up hope and still believe there can be a change, thankfully. But that moment really caused me to reconsider. Um, it was a moment of complete disbelief, sadness, of all shame, shame to be recognized as a Liberian, shame. And I thought about the many non Liberians who may have may be considering investing in Liberia, seeing something like this and pulling back and said, these people are not ready to move forward. Why would anyone want to invest in a country that whose people, leaders, I would say, do not love the country? I'll put it that way, right? Because that's what we've been watching the past few days. If you really want to look at the impasse, it's about greed for power and money. And we have people elected to do their due diligence and transact, take care of the business of the country so that the poor, the poorest of the poor can benefit, right? And they cannot see beyond their pride, their bigotry, their greed for power and money to say, let's come together, let's reason together and move forward. All right. So that was my initial response. And then as the day went on and even up to today, I got to talk with others. I got to watch some talk shows. And the more I talk with others, I got some different perspectives, which I want to share. Because we don't have a final report on the investigation, I want to be fair to the process and wait for that report. Notwithstanding, there's this school of thought that because most of our buildings, in fact, all of our buildings, are built from cement, right? The fire typically tends to start in the ceiling where you have materials that are most flammable, and that it's likely could have been an electrical malfunction that caused the fire. So, for those who have that hypothesis, I would give them the credit or the benefit of the doubt that yes, there's a small possibility that may have been the case, and it just happened at the wrong time. Um, I would hope that our government will find a way to bring the best in terms of investigators to determine the source of the fire, right? Because that's the key. Where did it start? All right. Did it start on the floor among the benches, or did it start up in the ceiling? And then from there you can begin to piece together what really contributed to it. So I'm willing to wait, and I don't know if we have the expertise in country to do this justice, but I'm hoping that we do, and that the final report will reveal something that is meaningful and allow us to move forward as a country. The other hypothesis, though, is that this was deliberate, right? And given what's been happening in the impasse and all that's happened, it's highly possible that it was deliberate. And if it was, then the question for me is, and to the perpetrators is, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? What was your intent? Right? I mean, we've heard Madam Chair talk about the symbolic nature of this building to our country, to our people, right? After all we have gone through, right? We have barely tried to pick ourselves up, and yet we are sending ourselves back years. And we're on national um, airwaves, so I'm not going to use some words that I really want to use, but I'm sorry. That so-called estimate is flawed. How in the world can anybody come up in one day's time and tell us it's going to cost $1.5 million to repair? What type of what type of analysis have you done to come up with that conclusion so quick? Right? We always run to the monetary piece of it because of our greed. That tells me you're not even giving credence to how important this is and how it's so important that we do this right. Okay? And so it's disappointing, and I hate to say it, but it speaks bad on every single one of our leaders from the president on down. All right? All of those legislators, every one of you, I blame you for where we are today. Because every one of you should be able to put on your big boys pants, get in the room, and come to some compromise to move this country forward. All right? And let me just pause to applaud the handful of citizens who went out there to riot, to express their concerns about the impasse. Because that's what's needed, Liberians. We have to start standing up. We, the people, must speak out. Because why? We are the ones who have the true power. We are the ones who elected these officials. And if they're not doing what we send them there to do, we must call them out. And I applaud those citizens. And I will encourage them. Continue to put our senators, our leaders, our legislatures, our executive, even our judiciary feet to the fire. All right? And do it peacefully to avoid the tear gas and all of that. Do it peacefully, but it can be done, and we must do it. Because if we don't, we'll continue to see the same old story over and over again. A few people at the top that continue to enrich themselves, and the poor continue to suffer. All right. And so I beg of our leaders, from the president on down, since this impasse started, I've been looking for the person who will exercise love of country and bring these people together. I expected President Parker to have done this in the first week or two of that impasse. Call the legislators to the executive measure, put them in the conference room, and iron out your differences. It can be done. All right? The fact that we are at this place today and continue to go against the constitution of the country is baffling, is shocking, and is downright shameful. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wilson. I mean, it's so shameful for the burning or whatever analysis has been made, and different findings came about, but the manner in which that building was blazing with fire, I'm wondering whether it is some electrical impact, especially in Liberia. And all the rockets that flew over that building during all the wars that we had in Liberia did not burn that building. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, the different findings are suggesting different ways. But as you stated rightly, we're going to be waiting for the findings. And those involved, the government is responsible to make sure that people are held accountable. If it is the government also should be held accountable for what happened. But for someone within less than 3 weeks to analyze the impact of such a historic symbolic building and come up with a cost that will be able to renovate the building, it's a shame. Because it's not only the cost of the building. There's some historical documentation, things that burn, things that we're supposed to be showing our great-grandchildren that have been lost in this process. In the first place, let me take some of the talks that Mr. Tauber was talking about. You got children that are not even going to school. Mm-hmm. You got people who are representing different counties that don't even care to come up with an estimate how much it's going to cost to build a simple, nice, decent school, or to even build a bathroom, toilet facilities in their counties. As such, but someone will come out within 2 weeks, less than 3 weeks of burning of their Capitol building. Someone will come up to talk about it cost 1 point something million. Where did you get your findings?
He came up with it in 2 days. Matter of fact, 2 days. Prince Mui.
Can you imagine? But you don't even know how many schools they got in your state or your county, that you're supposed to be taking care of. Whether the people have safe drinking water, whether there are schools there, whether even their parents, whether they're farming, if it's in Lofa County, how the roads conditions are. No one has come up with any estimate as quick as that. But when the Capitol building burned, someone wants to make a profit out of it. Talk about the root cause of the case. Like you rightly stated, Mr. Wilson, the root cause of the case is people to talk to one another, tolerate and respect the Constitution. And we have the head of all the branches. Like you said, bringing them together. If you cannot work together, the people voted for you and put you there. If you cannot, because being in those houses is a team. You're not working there for yourself. You're working for your people. You're representing your people. And your people basic needs to be discussed before it's approved. So if you cannot do that job, then just leave. But for you to have this disagreement, we have wars upon wars in Liberia. But that bidding was too strong. And when there's no war, because everyone wants power, and then the people that put you there, they don't even have basic school drinking water, no clinic, and they're dying. But 1 week, 2 days, you come up with some estimate just to get money and rebuild it? You think that's what the Liberian people want? That 1 point something million could go to all the counties. They could divide it on all the counties we have so that people can start making farm, those who can make it. Those who don't have food, they can start planting something. Those who don't have money to put the kids in school, that money can be used for that. But no, it's going to be used for people who have decided after the findings, we're going to know what actually happened so that people can be held accountable. Because that means anybody can just see you in the street and do something bad to you. Like Anita said, there's no accountability. How will you go and burn a nation's building? How will you do that? And then the next thing is, yeah, we can fix it. Yeah, the cost for us to renovate it. Miss Anita, your thoughts, please. And then we'll move to Mr. Sheriff.
Yeah, as fella said, I mean, what we have now, I think we need a constitution reform because our constitution is in the interest of the lawmaker. Even the one that the power that the people have, that for example, if we say we want to impeach any lawmaker right now, we have to collect that signature, carry to the lawmaker, carry to the House of Representatives for them to approve it before it happens. So we know that is not happening. And number two, we will need to bring savings back to our schools. I think our people don't know the power that they hold. They don't know what they have. So they just stay there and they are blindsided, and the politicians just keep abusing them and abusing them and abusing them. But I was in Liberia for like 3 months in 2022. It was under CDC administration. The country was in the trash can, I would say. No law and order. I mean, this is a place I see everybody driving on the opposite lane. People just running to people and kids in the street selling. So if the driver not respecting the rule, you know how many person they're going to be killing every day for traffic violations. And then after that kind of horrible leadership, another horrible times two came and took over. So the country is not a country right now. Liberia is in a dump site. The help Liberia need, I don't know. I think the reform that we need cannot come from the politicians, that the players, I'll call them the players, the corrupt individuals that we have in Liberia, in the body politics right now. They cannot bring that reform. And then we in the diaspora too, a lot of us still have not changed our mindset. We still in a greedy hunter behavior where if it benefits you, it's good. You know, even if you know John cannot do it, but you feel you will benefit behind John, you will get a job and you will go and steal from the Liberian people, then which means John is good. That's the same thing that make the whole, we kind of divided here in the diaspora because we don't have one voice. The diaspora come together with one voice, we can go and reform the country and help the people that are on the ground. The people really suffering. Things are hard. Things are really, really difficult. Liberia is so expensive and there's no job. No way for people to survive, and it draws. Government officials allowing the drugs to come in because they're getting percentage. Drugs law bribing people and bringing drugs to destroy our country. Top government officials taking concession money that's supposed to benefit country, they're putting it in their pocket, and they giving our resources out for free. I don't know whether there will be a generation left in Liberia to really take care of Liberia if Liberia continue to go this way, because people who contributed to the problem that we're in today are those same people that are still leading the country. So, and they have nothing to offer. They're just there to kind of benefit themselves and their family. They have nothing to offer. So I think we need to call for we need to have one voice in the diaspora, and we need to go and take over our country and fix our country so our brothers and sisters on the ground can have life. But what happening in Liberia now is so sad. Liberia is a sad state. Before, when I was in Liberia, your neighbor called, people will call you, hey, let's eat. But there's not food. Food. You can't just tell somebody come next week because that's all you have. It's not even enough. So we cannot change it. When I saw the people, they have changed a lot. The country is bad. I don't know who can help us. But I think we that have left the country, that have traveled, and lived other places, I see how normal society where we are getting educations. I think it's time for us to give back. It's time for her to go home and change our country. And I don't think the democracy that we have in democracy is not for Liberia. That country that I see, the small group of people, the way our minds look right now, we're very wicked. I don't think you will sit down and tell the people go and vote. Their mind, the way we think is way different. So I don't know. We need to do something to change the country. If not, the future leader that we hope for, we might not even have it. We might not have anybody. After the generation is gone, there'll be no one to take over the country. It's a serious risk. It's a serious threat. I don't know how we can work it out, but it's sad and it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's thank you so much. And it's really, 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 really sad. We are in a sad, sad situation. Liberia was one of the founding member of the United Nations, or part of it, ECOWAS, ECOWAS, and we were hosting South Africans in our country. I know when we were in high school, we had some South Africans in our country going to school because there were war in South Africa. We were advocate, and when Liberia reaches the ECOWAS meeting or African Union meeting, then the meeting will start. We had Ghanaians in our country going to school, medical school, Nigerians, law school, working in Liberia. Liberia was the Petit American, Ivorians used to call our country. We were home for other African countries. And now we are nowhere. Like Mr. Tauber stated during his podcast, Sierra Leone is gone. We've been left behind. Other countries are just moving ahead. And it benefits other African countries, our neighbors. The more we are down, the better it is for them. Because investment is supposed to come in Liberia, goes to this country. So who is going to help you? It's like you got your whole house messed up and you just complaining and doing nothing. Your brothers and your sisters, your cousins around you will be happy because things are going on well. You ain't doing nothing for yourself. That's the situation we find ourselves in. If we're thinking our neighboring countries will come and solve our problem, that's a joke. Because if I'm a German business person or I'm a business person from Gabon or South Africa and Ghana is stable, you think I'm going to select Liberia? No. Or Sierra Leone is stable, who's going to select Liberia? They're going to go to those other countries and we'll be left behind. Open your eyes and see what is going on around. If it's not for us, but for our children to come. Some Liberians are here wanting to buy land. And when you ask, who are you going to buy land from? They say one fuller man own the whole area. Before you open your eyes, we have no land. That means if you're a Liberian, you got no land, you'll be renting from other people. Look around other countries, what they are doing. Countries that used to see us to be important. We've been dropped. You never found drugs in Liberia. I'm not saying it was never there, but we're not as open and wild as it's being used now. But everything is changing. Don't sit here in the States or in Monrovia or in Lofa County, Bon County, and say somebody come and save you. In every country is helping themselves. The nationals in the United States, I don't know about Europe, they go in their country, they're building their country because their country is their pride. Their country is all they have. What do we have as Liberians? After all the wars, when people are moving ahead in technology, when people are building infrastructures in their country, we're burning our capital building down. We really need to sit down and think about what we want. Because we're thinking we're fighting one another because, person appellate, the other person VAR, the other person there, we're fighting one another. Our fighting is an opportunity for other individuals from other countries to move in and take over. When we finish fighting amongst ourselves, we have no home. We'll be renting from those who come in to settle, those who come in to settle in Liberia. That's what Mr. Tobo already stated. All the money you're sending, Christmas money, New Year money, July 26th, school fees, everything going to the foreigners, because they are selling all the products. They are giving the power, the authority to import things. Because Liberians, we don't have money to bribe our commerce minister. We don't have money to bribe at the port for us to get the entry of goods and services to come as the others. When businesses come, they give it to those who have money. Liberian businesses don't have anything. How will we grow? How will the money stay in our country? When war comes, the individuals move to another African country. They go to Zanzibar, they go to Ghana. Now people going to Sierra Leone because Sierra Leone is serious. What are we doing? So we're turning to our own Mr. Vani Sherry. What we really want right now is for us to go around. We will come back. There will be another series of this discussion. We are looking forward to our president and Mr. Boakai to see, President Boakai to see, especially the investigation. What are some of the resolutions? And also want to see where the lawmakers, where are they working? Are they in that building, or they give them another office space, or should they send them back to their various counties so they can go work from there? So those are things that we are looking at. We want to see where are they, because it's supposed to be, if your office in the city burn, your office in your county is supposed to be safe for you to go back there and start working from there. It's not only like giving people a place to work. It's also rethinking the entire process. Whether it worth it to even have that building there. Because if it can be burned because everybody fighting, so should we have it, or should everybody have an office in the county and then drive to Monrovia when there's a need for meeting? Because I know that President Joe Biden, when he was representing his Delaware, he used to take the train and come in the morning to DC to work. So maybe that will be the practice. There'll be a lot of different benefits. When challenges come, when the cloud is dark, I can tell you some good opportunities will come from there that will benefit the people. So we'll turn it over to Mr. Vani or Mr. Sherry to let us know, what do you think, someone watching the discussion, what will be the takeaway that you think they need to take away from the discussion that will at least make them to know that amidst of all this, we know that President Boakai will thoroughly investigate this. Not only how much do we need to fix it, what is the root cause of this? How can we stop this? Should the lawmakers go back to their various counties and have their offices there, and then because all of them got car anyway, and drive to Monrovia when there's a need? Or maybe they can even have a Zoom meeting conference call, because that on the Zoom, they have restriction there. If you start cursing, they just cut you off, take you off the call, off the discussion, because there are a lot of ways that this can play out to resolve this, and that will benefit the Liberian people. Mr. Sherry, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I follow closely when the other distinguished panelists were talking. Mrs. Scanner was saying that She's not sure that this investigation, the outcome will be out. They are not going to do it. Well, I hope that the investigation goes on and the result should be brought, and whoever responsible for this act should be dealt with according to the law. But if that doesn't happen, I'm afraid the confidence, the public trust, this may jeopardize the government. You cannot have a country where the citizens cannot trust you. If the government wants the citizens to build the trust and confidence in her, and I think she is under constitutional obligation to thoroughly investigate this incident and make sure that a comprehensive report should be brought to the citizens in order to rebuild the trust and confidence. I follow when we're talking about they've just gone immediately brought out an estimate budget for the renovation. It is true that obviously that building is symbolic. It embodies a lot that we'll have to have that as a heritage. But immediately this happened, he brought out a budget for this. That does not only bring suspicion, but it signifies in the minds of citizens greed, selfishness, corruption. This is what it brought to the minds of the citizens. If you are to check in the budget, the national budget that have just been passed, things that need to be prioritized are not prioritized. Look at the social welfare policy, for example. You want to attract investors into your country. How do you do this? You have a lot of disadvantaged young people on the street. Go to Broad Street. Even 20th Street, just be around these SKD Boulevard. You see people jogging, people telephone, ladies' bags. On the street, they are on a motorcycle. The proliferation of substance abuse and drug addiction. There is we don't have any well-equipped rehabilitation centers for disadvantaged youth. The young people that are into substance abuse and drug addiction. If you were to enter the central prison of Monrovia or Liberia, there is no rehabilitation center for juveniles. These are things that the government should be thinking about. Juveniles are now to be in prison. They are pre-trial detainees kept there for crimes that they committed. There are public defense lawyers there that will help in fast-tracking their cases. First of all, it's so unfortunate that social work as a discipline and profession is struggling to be recognized in this country. You don't have a psychosocial counselors. The national legislature, if you are to ask whether they have social welfare policy or department for social work, they don't have it. If you even ask them, they will start be surprised. What is social work? What is their responsibilities? They don't need it. They don't see these things. Now, let's say, for example, you see an investor who comes from the United States to Liberia. They are in their hotels in the evening. They want to drive down to observe the streets of Monrovia. An investor would just see a blind begging, and they see this other disadvantaged youth come and just hit their friend and take the phone from them and run away. What do you think will come to the minds of the investor? They will say, but this country is too poor. There are criminals here. I mean, I can't do my investment here. The next day, they'll jump back. What do you do to cut down these things? How can this be avoided? Construct a rehabilitation center, renowned one. Let the young people be there. Rehabilitate them. Provide a reintegration center for them. Provide a skill, institution, trade. So when they get back to the society, they are not going to be harmed. They're going to be societal materials. They become a trade people. Now they're able to put food on the table. When the juvenile leave the prison, because in that prison itself is not safe for them. I had a privilege to work on the juvenile justice and psychosocial project, where we have the juveniles engage with the public defense lawyers fast track their case, and we try to help them, counsel them, reintegrate them with their in the society, and reunite them with their families. So what a mechanism you're putting in place for these people when they get back, they are not coming back to the street. That's the responsibility of the government. What this Ministry of Justice is doing in this line. Sadly, they're not even hiring people with the expertise, with the profession. By the way, the National Association of Social Workers of Liberia had their fifth convention yesterday. And as one of the social workers who has a degree in social work, we contested and I won as a general secretary upon our inauguration. These are advocacies that we're going to embark on. Formulate a world policy of social welfare policies, advocate for enactment at the national legislature. Then we can start our advocacy, a robust one and unbending. Because you need people who will bring this to light. Probably they don't know, they are not educated about this. You don't blame them. So you need people who understand and bring this. If they are here to that, if they're going to prioritize these things. Because if you prioritize this and you understand, after the recession in the United States, former President Roosevelt Franklin, to formulate a world social welfare policy, brought two professional social workers that revamped the economy, transformed the American society. So this society needs that. A lot of social issues, a lot of fire incident. Before the ascendancy of this government, I can say last year from October, November, there was also fire accident. They keep coming on. What are the mechanisms you're putting in place? Most of the legislators are there. Most of them are traumatized. How can an honorable man get into the House of Parliament in section and using profanity, insulting? You are an honorable person. That building, that place is a sacred area. That when you are there, everything that is expected of you, it should be honorable. This is why someone mentioned about civic education. And thank God for the Liberian view that is on this. And we are urging all Liberians in the diaspora. While we are waiting, I agree for the reformation of the Constitution. But we can start as citizens. Let us embark on civic education. When a citizen knows who to vote for, why should they vote for a candidate? And if promises made were not met, were not delivered, how can you impeach these people? When the consciousness come in, you will see changes. Like Madam Lucy said, we don't have to wait. If we are only waiting for them to change, the change will never come. But we ourselves, some of us who have the privilege to live in Liberia, let us focus on the Liberian society and the young people who are dedicating their time to the services. Let's provide civic education. Ahead of 2029, this is one of the fundamental issues that we have to focus on. Engage on disadvantaged youth, educate them. Let's try to rehabilitate them, reintegrate them so that they can make a sound decision. It is so sad, last election, you see a political party taking advantage of these young people. Just go to register them. They don't even know what they are voting for. Insofar, you just giving them like $5 or $20. Register all of them, take their ID card on the day of voting. You come, you give them the card, vote this, and I'll give you the, and they will do it. So how will you compare a man who is mentally disturbed to a man who have a sound mind to have the same right to make a decision in Liberia? It's so pathetic. The illiterate rate in this country is high. The literacy is very high. These are fundamental issues. Are you prioritizing education? How scholarships are given? Are we promoting academic excellence? Look at the health care, the health system of Liberia. These are areas that need to be prioritized. Like you mentioned of the road condition, our road networks. So issues are enormous.
You know, I think there's a little technical issue, but we just want to say thank you to Mr. Sharif because these are very key points that he made with Mrs. Kane. These are very, very key points, and I'm hoping that if you're watching before Mr. Felix can conclude on this, if you're watching, unless Mrs. Kane have something else that she wants to add, but if you're watching this, and I'm glad that the Liberian View worked. The Liberian View worked with the young adult for Peace Chapter and Mr. Sharif, who is the chairperson, and we did what they call civic education on the electoral process. We made sure that people are educated and people
Amen.
talk about the importance of voting. They knew their rights and responsibility. They knew the importance of their voting card, and that's what they need to vote. And also, we taught them about. I had some former House senators, former senators that were introduced to me by Mr. Dr. Allen White, and he helped us when it comes to we did what they call Trina on Zoom, and we had about 20 to 20 to 30 something young adults for Peace Chapter, the Liberian chapter, and we educated them, and they went to various counties. And I think we're still going to partner also with the Social Workers Association in Liberia when it comes to you know the various things that they are doing for those in the how you call it, the young adult that are not those that are not really empowered, or maybe they don't know their importance. So it's not only for them going through physical therapy, counseling, and all those kind of things, but also after that, what is next for them? Because they need like job placement, they need something to sustain themselves. Because if not, you take them through those various counseling process, they go through it, and no training for them. There's nothing else. They're gonna go back to the same life. So those are things that we are looking at as Liberian View. We did what they call a livelihood assessment of that, and we have a package, and we are going to be working on that. You all will be informed because we're really working with Mr. Sharif and his group. But having said that, I just wanted to conclude on what he was saying. And we want to say thank you because right now I think it's even after 10 o'clock in Liberia PM, 10 p.m., and he was on the call. So if we would like for Mr. Felix Wilson to close out on what we think that people should take away, because we will come back because we all going to be watching the investigation if there's any. If even there's no investigation, we'll come out. We'll see. We're going to check. Have a team that will go and do some investigation and give us some information, because the Liberian View is our this particular platform. We look at the ills in society, what is affecting our people, and this is a national crisis. Burning down of this particular Capitol building is a national crisis, and all Liberians should condemn it. It should be condemned. So, having said that, Mrs. Kane, if you have anything that you want to add, we'll just turn it over to after you. We'll turn it over to Mr. Wilson to have the final say, and then we'll call it a day. And we'll be coming back again on the next series to provide you more information on what our findings are. Not just talking to politicians or partisans, but real Liberian people who are hurting.
Thank you, Mananke. When Sherry was talking, I was taking note. He was saying, I said the investigation we will not have closure because I'm saying that because since the UP administration came to power, Mr. Baka have had different investigations that have gone on. He has set up different committees for investigation. We can't get closure because they always think that Liberia just keep it for 24 hours and they will forget. And the next thing come, they will follow that and so forth. He inauguration fund for party. Thousands of dollars that they gave to the party chairman, there was no accountability. Somebody took the entire money and put it in their pocket. He set a committee to investigate, nothing happened. When he removed the tenure position, he said he was sending some investigator to come and go through what the Supreme Court said and inform me. There have been no closure on every investigations that this administration has ever set up. It's just propaganda from the next one to the next to the next. And this one that happened, that actually raising eyebrow and making people to actually point at the executive or point at the UP party, the fact that they already know the cost to face the John Chima, and then cheers that were in the John Chima that did not get brain that appear to the majority black to City Hall, and all the confusion are going on with a pointing finger here and there. This is not going to go anywhere. So that's why I wanted to clarify when Sherry was saying, I just read in my note to follow up so I don't forget that. But it was a great discussion. Thank you for the time. I really appreciate it. And FedEx, it's up to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to close on this to all Liberians out there. Um, think about the dark smoke that envelop our capital and put things in perspective. That smoke represents what we are as a country today, a complete semblance of chaos, no direction, lack of true leadership. Um, the young brother who was on talk about some of the educational ills. Um, we've all said it one way or another here. And I would say this again, Liberia has a multitude of problems that should have been tackled from day one, going back to President Johnson's tenure. All right. I want to believe that we feel to exercise patience in uprooting the current system and rebuilding something that will work for all Liberians. We kept the same old system in place, and as a result, we see the same players being recycled, but for a few new faces who don't even understand how the system works. We see the same old players being recycled. As a result, corruption continues to plague us. And I maintain that until we get serious about rebuilding, which requires uprooting what we have and putting in something new that works for everyone, we will continue to struggle as a people. As I leave you this evening, I want to direct your attention to an article that was published in Front Page Africa on the 13th of November. It's it was an opinion piece, and the title of it reads "The Death of Potential: Liberia's Self-Inflicted Education Crisis." If I had my way, President Boycott and every member of his executive team would read this article. Every member of the legislature would read this article. Every member of the judiciary would read this article. Every Liberian who can read and write, I will encourage you to read this article. It was written by one of our own Liberians. His name is, I'm going to try to pronounce it right, Philip Playon, Pleiwon. He's a social entrepreneur and he's recognized as a human capital development expert. This article is an indictment on our educational system. And to put it plain and short, after much observation and studies and reviewing our educational system throughout the counties, this gentleman pretty much said, imagine in a few years having a doctor who does not understand the anatomy of the body being in our hospital. Imagine having an engineer who cannot measure or count straight, trying to build our roads and bridges. That's how failed our educational system is. And we are sweeping things under the rug, painting our schools and making them look new and beautiful. But the substance of what's coming out is garbage. Yet we expect our country to survive 10, 20, 30 years down the road. Um, it is my hope and prayer that we will exercise the level of urgency that is needed to turn our country around. And if the burning of the Capitol is not urgency enough, then I wonder what is. So I call on us, our leaders, and those of us in the diaspora who can do something. Let's do it. I'm with uh, our head here, Madam Care, 100%. The Liberian View will do what we can to impact the lives of our young people in a positive way. But it takes more than the Liberian View. And so I'm urging Liberians far and wide to rally. It's the urgency of now. We must start now. Thank you, Madam Care. I'm being Summers. As you know, I'm wearing a dual hat today. Everybody's asking where am I? I had to sneak away, but I appreciate sharing the platform with
Mhm.
all of you. And I look forward to the next iteration of our discourse. God
Yep.
bless you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, 1 minute quick before you leave. I
Mhm.
just want to say thank you so much. I know you out of state, and I know Mr. Vani Sharif is in Liberia. My own Anita, my daughter, she's in Virginia. I just want to take this time to say thank you so much. We know that this is very important, and we are urging Liberians to condemn this because if we do not, something else will happen. And like you stated, we want to say thank you to all those who are peacefully marching in Liberia. This is your right. This is your right. Yeah, just do it peacefully. And we're going to make sure to keep on investigating. We have very smart researchers here. We have Anita, we have Mr. Vani Sharif, we have Mr. Felix Wilson. We're going to get back to you all again on January 12th for the next, to at least to just give you a little update. We want to give the people almost like 3 weeks again, or 2 weeks to see, because then this should be investigated. Like, just to give you like a status update on what is going on. We're going to follow up because this is very important. Our mission is we are breach to we are breach we our breach for Liberia, connecting Liberia, making sure that every ill in the society is being discussed, not only ill in the society but also bringing up ideas that will connect, looking at carrying out like livelihood assessment to see the needs of our people, trying to raise funds and see how best we can work with the younger people so that they can know that we are there. But the significance of that building, I'm glad we have Mr. Some young adults like Mr. Sharif, condemning it with his group and making sure that they get some answers to why this happened. Why this happened. And I think we should also be thinking about where are the lawmakers. I mean, should they go back to the various counties and be there? because there should be some office space there, and so they can be working from there, because they should be working because they are being paid. I don't think why the place is burned if they're not in office, that means they're not going to be paid. They're supposed to be having an office space. Should the office space say being Monrovia? That should be something people, you young people, need to be saying now. You need to be thinking what is best for you. Do you want your lawmakers in the house fighting and not giving you what you need, or do you want for them to be in your county and discussing with you, and rather knowing that there's no light, there's no good water, because they'll be using the same thing like in America. Most of these people have in their various states. That's where they are, and they're supposed to come to DC. Then they argue. Then they got when they're due to come. Well, after recess, and when there's recess, they go back to their various state because they have offices there. After that, they come back when there's a need. They are here in DC. So we should also look at that, because when challenges come, there are opportunities. So these are opportunities that we need to be looking at. Where should they be? So young people, come up with your answers, come up with your questions. Do not be afraid to do the right thing. And we support what they call civic education in schools. We're going to work with the young adult for Peace Chapter in Liberia. We're going to work with them to make sure that we start doing that. If we have to even volunteer, we'll volunteer to do that. So we want to say thank you so much, Mr. Sharif, for coming on. I don't know whether you want to say anything before we just call it a day, Mr. Sharif.
Yeah, quickly, thank you. Sorry, I got disrupted by our poor internet connection. Quickly, I want to say thanks to the Liberian View for hosting this podcast. These are issues, things that we should discuss on national issues. And I am honored to have a shared platform with Mrs. Kane. The last name bears my mother's name. My mother is Kane. So I am
Thank you.
honored to have met you virtually. Mr. Wilson, also distinguished people, I am honored, and thank you to the Liberian View for adding me on the platform to share with these great people. We look forward to having the next conversation that are going to be more fruitful, and this is our own way of contributing to the growth and transformation that we're going to be committed to. We look forward to meeting again. Thank you so much. To all Liberians, let us contribute to the growth and transformation. You can play a meaningful role without getting into any bad thing. You can play it. How do you even treat your compatriots? How do you treat citizens? How do we talk to one another? How do we advise? These are ways you contribute. Your role spoiled in your community. Don't wait for them to come fix it. Mobilize the young people. Let's try to contribute in the way that we can so our country will look better. Thank you so much, Madam Wilson. I'm honored and I'm glad that I share a platform with these people. It's an honor for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll see you January 12th, 2025, whereas we'll be having a one way or the other an update on the discussion. We want to say thank you for your support, thank you for your questions, your comment, and see you next week. And thank you all. Thank you
Thank
to
you.
our. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.